right, happy Monday morning. What is going on, kids? All the females in our family survived another annual cookie bake. Everybody kept all their fingers and arms, and all the guys went and drank. And I watched football. I don't know why I watch football. I just don't sport. But
There wasn't much else to do.
no.
We sat down, we drank, and watched whatever was on TV, which was only football. It's Sunday, Donnie. That's what happens on Sundays.
Well, somebody should do something about that. Did I hear that they may make the Super Bowl pay-per-view? Is that like a real thing? Or is that just like a rumor mill type thing?
I think it's just rumor mill. I don't think it's actually ever going to
I
happen.
think it would be the dumbest thing on the planet would be make the Super Bowl freaking pay-per-view. I don't know why I would do that. So, well, what's up with you guys? Anything fun and exciting happened over this crazy-ass weekend? Or did we just like sit around and do nothing?
I made my husband reorganize the entire upstairs of our house. That was fun for me.
Poor
Matt.
Not maybe for him.
Doesn't sound like you did much.
He's like not a big dude. So, I mean,
he's stronger than he looks.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I mean, he may be hurting today, but literally from 9 a.m. Saturday until 10 p.m. last night.
So anybody know the number for the spousal abuse hotline? Because I feel like we should call for that.
Don't worry, I'm on it. I'm on it. 1-800
1-800 wife wins. Yes.
Wife wins. Wow. Yeah, I should just send Matt a case of beer. I know he's not a big drinker, but I need to send him a bottle of liquor.
He was definitely last night, and it was really bad last night that you mentioned that because we got I did help, and then we were done and we were watching football, and I cracked open a beer that I had, and he's like, "I don't have any beer in the house."
So you totally took the last
beer because he had that, and I was like, "I'm sorry."
So one more time, 1-800.
Wow, too funny.
Anyway.
Well, Bernie should be joining us here in a little while. He's wrapping up a client, and then we'll come here. And, it's almost like Bernie's here now. Yo.
I think I was going to take his position and put a mustache on.
Yeah. So,
I can pull it off really well.
Man, I had so many things that were trying to come out of my mouth after you said that, Jess, and I just freaking batted those away. So.
No,
probably best.
Mustache, just sit there and look pretty. We'll get through this together.
I mean, I can call Stacy and she can mail me her mustache.
Right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, no, everybody's got to shave come the summit because mustaches are, get
they're
people
banned.
Yeah, they're just banned.
Make people win with them. We don't
except for Josh. Josh, don't ever shave because I don't want to see what the hell's underneath all that. So, it's hiding some shit. So,
yeah, it really is. There's birds living in here, different creatures. Leave it alone.
I was trying
to find love that as soon as he says that, Peyton's dog makes an appearance. Like he heard birds. Oh, where am I at?
Yeah, I was trying to find a good picture of Josh for the thumbnails and everything, and every picture that I've seen of him so far is him without a hat on, and I only know him with the hat on, so it's weird seeing him completely bald and with an egg-shaped head. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, it is very aerodynamic. I can
no joke.
Spear, torpedoed into Navy vessels. Torpedoed
into Navy vessels. Wow. Kevin says Bernie's on the way. He's brushing out his mustache.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's awesome. All right, P, let's play that game.
Got it. All right, today's another game of Would You Rather. And I think we all kind of know this game. Would you rather? Your answer's already no.
No.
Ernie's in. He made it.
Ernie, we weren't talking shit about you at all. It was all wonderful. Nice.
No. 100% certain of that. Thank you.
It takes you so long to brush out that mustache every morning. It does. It's a task.
Have no idea. You have no idea.
All right, you made it just in time. Would you rathers? Would you rather be famous for something embarrassing or unknown but respected for your work? I think it's easy.
I'd do the embarrassing. Fuck it.
I would too.
No,
all day long.
I'm unknown but respected for my work 100% of the time.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to take the high C route and unknown and respected.
Yeah,
Josh, where are you at?
I'm going with unknown and respected.
And Bernie?
High five, Stevie.
I feel like I'd rather be famous for something embarrassing.
Yeah,
Oh,
find the dark side.
Damn, I thought for sure we were going to see the high C's and high D's right there. I thought that was going to happen. But Bernie switched up on us.
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah.
Would you rather always say what's on your mind or never be able to speak again?
Dude, I already say what's on my mind.
Yeah.
Say what's on my
Very
mind.
I'm right there with you.
There's not much of a filter.
No.
Yeah.
So,
Have an easy life with no challenges or a difficult life that's full of achievements? I feel like no challenges just gets boring.
Oh, that's a very
Yeah.
philosophical question.
I
Yeah.
think I'm already living that difficult life.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who runs a business, you know, yeah.
I think this
Can I-
one, it would depend on the day that you asked me how I would answer it.
Right?
That's fair.
Like, there are some days that an easy life with no challenges seems really nice.
Yeah,
But
no
I
joke.
think overall,
Yeah, could you turn it on and off? That'd be an interesting thing.
now
Like
there
today,
you go, right?
I
Can
just want an
choose
easy
which
day.
one?
Yeah.
When I flick the light switch, can I get the other life for 10 minutes? That'd be great.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
Yeah.
Rather always have perfect weather or never wait in line again.
Ooh.
Unrelated, but
Ooh.
which one is more important
Fuck.
to you?
I would prefer to never have to wait in line again. I can
I'm
deal
gonna
with a
go
little
with
rain and
that
snow.
too.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
hate waiting in line.
Yeah.
I'm
Don't
the
just cut
most
the line.
I'm the most impatient prick in the world too. Like
Yeah. I wonder if that also relates to traffic. Because absolutely I'm taking that.
So I
Oh.
almost like let go on a Sprouts cashier this weekend.
Oh shit.
Tell us more.
No. Let's talk more about that. Bring that back.
Yes. What was that about?
Okay, so we're at Sprouts because it was the closest grocery store ever. The lady's taking forever to bag this like sparkling water in these separate bags. So a lady opens next to us. I'm like, okay, I'm going in this line. So I get in that line, and the lady's like, oh, I'm closed. So you served one person and then closed. So I jump back in the line that I was in, and the lady goes, oh, I'm closing too. And this is after a day of shopping with 3 kids for Christmas presents.
Oh,
Wow.
Not good.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is why I have that champions code. Don't be a dick, because you just seen the side of Donnie that would have not been a nice person.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I hate that stupid shit.
They waited for you to switch lines and then change their mind again.
Oh,
Yeah.
one word came out, and then she fixed it. I was like, good.
what was that one word?
Yeah, I'm
Seriously.
carrying.
Oh,
It wasn't a Donnie word. It was.
I feel like I would have had at least 3 words to say, and it probably
Yeah.
would have been what
I
the
would have given the W and the third word with an F, right?
I almost got there. Didn't quite.
Your one word that you pick in that moment is seriously.
Mhm.
I like it.
That's
It-
a
it-
yes
it-
word.
It got me through the line, and then my daughter didn't see the outburst because she was searching for sprinkles in the store.
Okay. Yeah, that's a win.
Nice.
And that is what we call a weekly win here
A
at
weekly
SCN.
win. There you go.
I'm
Oh,
100% staying in nature. Fuck
Yeah.
technology.
Oh, yeah,
Throw all that shit in the
absolutely.
trash.
Yeah, I mean,
Nature.
other than
Technology
Peyton,
is
we're
nature.
all old enough to remember life without all of this technology, and it generally worked fine. I would be
Yeah,
fine.
we had fine life without it. We could go back.
The only thing is my company now relies on technology.
Yes,
Well, I
So-
guess your company be fucked.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
you might have
it
to
would-
start using your body. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like
Taking a-
Matt does.
running it.
Oh.
Oh, shit. Okay, I started on a few more business-related ones. Have a guaranteed $500,000 in revenue every year, or take a 50-50 of earning $2 million.
500 every year.
I think that's fairly consistent. Like at 500,000, you're like, I don't think I would ask for anything more at that point.
No, I'd be fine the rest of my life.
So I
Yeah.
guess the question is, at
because
what point?
Comp point out over time.
Yeah.
4 years, you're at the 2 million mark.
Yeah, I think the payoff isn't high enough to take the risk, right?
Yeah.
If that's
Yeah.
at like 10 million, now we might be talking.
Yeah.
Okay. that was going to be my next question: is where does that pivot happen? Where does that change in idea happen?
But at the same token, I don't want to get handed $10-20 million because I firmly believe if somebody handed me $10 million, I'd blow it because I didn't earn it. So I wouldn't understand how to keep it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Agreed.
that's why I never want to play the big lotteries, because I don't want to be one of those typical jackasses that just loses it all because I don't understand it enough to be able to keep it.
Yeah.
We'd be seeing you at Renfest with your own pirate ship.
Yes. Yes. Own rum.
And that is why he spent his money on, folks.
Right. And a chariot pulled by goats. You know, it'd be perfect.
Oh, yeah. That'd be insane. Would you rather invest in hiring top talent or upgrading technology and automation?
Man, both of those have a downside.
Oof.
Yeah. If you had to put
I'd
everything
go
in
with
one.
top talent, hands down, because they can build the technology and automations for me.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
there you go.
I like it in theory, man, but employees are the greatest asset and the biggest pain in your fucking ass.
See you again, Bunny.
Depends. Probably depends on where you are and what your business is in. Like right now, technology and automation would make more sense for me and my business than hiring top talent.
Right now, if we look at it that way, talent would be our biggest thing, and then technology would come.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like that could go different ways based on where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely subjective. I think that I would always prefer to have top talent though, because to Jessica's point, you can build out the technology with top talent.
So my question is, it doesn't say pay. Oh, it says invest. It's invest. I'm like, shit, we get this for free?
Yeah.
All
right. Would you rather cut costs significantly at the expense of quality, or invest in quality and risk short-term financial strain? I think financial strain is the wrong word. I think it should be, I don't know, more intense than short-term financial strain, because that's kind of like the give and take. You're either going to be really fucking roughing it and making your quality over quantity, or you're going to kind of cheat back a little bit in order to make sure that you're paying your bills.
I would still go with invest in quality.
Yeah.
I would take it on the chin to have a more quality product.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Ruth Mallon. I said it right, Donnie. Ruth Mallon.
Milan. Like Moulin Rouge.
Did I say it wrong? Oh gosh, I'm failing this morning. Okay, so she put a post out on LinkedIn the other day.
Cheap, fast, and good.
Good, cheap, and fast. Good and cheap won't be fast. Fast and good won't be cheap. Cheap and fast won't be good. I thought that was really cool.
You can have whatever you want as long as it's two of the three.
Pick two of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Paul McCarthy's in the chat. He said he would invest in top talent 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to know how long the short-term financial strain is.
Yeah. Are we talking 3 months? Or are we talking 3 years?
Or 3 days, right?
That's very true.
How short is short term?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put a number on it just to get you answers. I'll say 3 years.
Then I'm going to cut
And I might
quality.
cut. Yeah. That's too long.
Yeah.
Short term.
I've made money and I've been broke. I can tell you I'd rather have money.
Yeah. What are you, a philosopher now, Donnie? What
no.
Oh, geez.
No, that's just life experience.
Yeah.
World according to Donnie is not a book.
No. I do like how they folded those bills so it almost looked like a door in the front of the house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty
Very
cool.
cute.
All right, last one. Would you rather be the first to market with a risky idea, or wait and perfect the idea and someone else might launch it?
First to market.
First to market.
It's always easier to be first.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can improve after.
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
They say at any given time, 7 people have like the same idea. 2 execute on it. 1 actually follows through with it. I don't know how the fuck they came up with those numbers, but it's an interesting way to look at it. I mean,
there's a book called Big Magic, written by Elizabeth.
The author of Big Magic.
Yeah, Eat, Pray, Love. The girl who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Anyway, one of the things she says is if you look at creativity as creativity is out there in the universe and it happens, you know, you get an idea in your head, it floats into you, whatever you want to think. But if you don't do anything with it, it's just going to float on to the next person. Right. And so when you like have that thought, but you don't do anything with it, and then like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, somebody does it, and you're like, I just had that thought. That was creativity flowing through you. You didn't take it, so it kept going. Creativity is always looking for space. I thought that was a really cool idea. I always think that when somebody does something and I'm like, well, I had that idea. Yes, but I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
So
I think you just summarized my entire life story.
Damn, apparently we're all turning into philosophers.
I know.
Today.
Sorry, that was very deep.
Did everybody smoke a bowl this morning before we got here? I mean, Christ, and I hate weed. So. All right, Peyton, roll that shit.
Okay, I'm about to hit play, but I do want to note the thing I said about Josh's head earlier. Just look for it in the pictures of him. He's got a little bit of an egg shape. I just want to bring it up again. Just one more time.
It cuts my hats right in half.
All right, here we go.
This is Josh Wathen, CEO of Triad InfoSec, connecting professionals to the cybersecurity and compliance team that you need. They specialize in doing the arduous compliance research, planning, and processing that you don't want to do. Assisting your organization with scale, using security policies and repeatable processes, making sure that your client's data is safe in your hands by building a team around you that will protect your life's work. And today, he gets the hot seat with the Success Champions team.
Wow. Now all I'm doing, Josh,
I
is like staring at you. Yeah, stare at your damn head.
Should I just stay like this?
No. Leave it on. Leave it on.
Okay, save your eyes. So I'm definitely not the CEO. I'm the COO, but that's fine, just so that I don't get fired when the CEO sees that and goes, hey, buddy.
Hey, you need to adjust your LinkedIn because LinkedIn says CEO, Chief Executive Officer.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Because you put that out, I was like, Peyton, you just promoted him on the show.
I did, apparently.
It most definitely doesn't, but that's okay.
Hold on, I gotta go look now.
Yeah, I just checked to make sure.
That's awesome. So,
well,
I gotta tell you, you guys
today.
And the Tropic Thunder shit just kills me.
Right.
Dude, last meeting, they added me to the damn picture. So now I'm like the producer. It was me with long fucking flowing blonde curly hair. It was so bad.
That I would like to see.
Oh, so just bad.
I got the zoomed in product of it.
Yeah. Well, you're coming next week, Jessica, so be prepared.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
No, too funny. Well, Josh, welcome to the show, my friend. Tell us who you are, and then tell us how the hell can we help?
Well, I'm Josh Wathen. Grew up in Houston. Ended up joining the Army. Got my green beanie somehow. Not sure how that happened. I think they made a mistake when they let me into Special Forces.
Okay, for the non-military people, tell them what the green beanie is.
It's a Green Beret. So essentially our job is to go behind enemy lines, make a whole bunch of friends, and get those friends to shoot in the same direction. That's essentially what we do. So I took that, ended up getting my degree in entrepreneurship. Once I was done with that, put it in a drawer, went back overseas, tried to get the Department of State, Department of Defense, and the Iraqi government to get along when ISIS was bad. And that was a practice in patience for 2.5 years. Came back, met my wife, and so I was like, all right, I got to dust this degree off and start putting it to work. So I've done leadership consulting, had a remodeling company, helped grow a couple of different businesses for some friends. My current partner right now, Jason Murray, was a client of mine when I was doing leadership consulting, and he was doing IT stuff. He sold that business, stood this up, and asked for some help, and that's how we got started. Today we do strategic alignment for cybersecurity with compliance, and do you actually need to pay for that type of conversations when it comes to security? We're trying to get liftoff, right? We're doing what SEN does best, break into that middle market space. So we've spent the last year kind of grinding, figuring out where we need to be, who we need to talk to, developing a lot of partnerships, and all of it's been pretty fruitful. And we're working that 6 to 18 month sales cycle on kind of breaking into these market spaces and starting to get a lot of traction. So it's an exciting time for the company.
Nice. What's the biggest thing we can help you with today? What's the struggle you're having in your business that we might be able to throw some advice your way?
Closing process for us, we've been attacking that for 4 months. A lot of it has to do with budget committees, the normal B2B stuff. So we've been going over that, trying to figure out what is the holdup and making sure we ask the 5 whys. And are we getting hey, I need to talk to my partner because they have a different objection, or is that the real objection? Right. Are you really waiting for the next quarter, or are you skeptical about the value of our services? So we've been getting after that kind of stuff. And then
have you been getting answers to those questions?
Yeah, for the most part, what we found is that folks really do need to wait for a certain budget. They do need a little bit more value conversation. So one thing that we've done is sell 1 or 2 VCSO hours. So they're on the phone with a VCSO at an affordable rate so that we get under the hood and they're getting some education as we move forward into what a full working relationship would look like. And that helps them it helps us capture their attention and then capture value as we go through kind of an upsell process, right?
How many typical sales calls do you guys find yourself in? Just go with average monthly.
On an individual basis or company-wide?
Company-wide.
I would say I'm doing 200. Jason's probably doing 50. We've got 4 outside salespeople that are busting between 50 and 200 per person. So you're looking at
actual sales calls sitting across from potential decision makers.
Well, that's a lot of the outside salespeople are doing cold calls, right? Okay. So whether they're getting on the phone with the decision maker or not, they're just smiling and dialing. I spend a lot of my time doing the referral triangle that we do in SEM, right? So I spend a lot of time on calls with folks that aren't necessarily a customer, but I'm working my way into the customer, and that works pretty well. I think 3 to 7 introductions deep, I find a customer that's willing to that really needs our services, knows they need it, and didn't have somebody to help.
Cool. So how many times are you actually sitting across from a actual decision maker that can tell you yes or no? Full-on sales call
per week, probably 6, 7, something like that.
So 48 sales calls a month, roughly 48, 50, somewhere in there. Okay.
Yeah, I would say so.
How often are you continuously getting these type of objections?
They're the only type that we really get. The part of the qualification is, do you have somebody helping with your cyber, right? So if they do, then there's not much for us to do at that point. If they don't, then we need to figure out why and whether they want it, whether they can afford it.
Okay. So typically when you're getting any sort of objection through a sales process, sales call and the like, it's because either it's the absolute truth or you said something stupid earlier in the sales conversation, right? And they're trying to let you down very, very, very nicely. So one thing I've found over the years has been extremely effective for us and throughout my sales career is if you get the sales objection more than twice, you bring it up first.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you put it on the table to find out if it's going to be a problem going down the road. So if it's constantly, hey, we need to wait for another quarter, we bring it up so we can have that conversation now. If it's constantly, I've got to bring somebody else to the table, the salesperson didn't do their due diligence up front and are selling to the wrong party. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's whatever the objection that consistently comes up, you got to head it off for the pass before it becomes an objection.
Okay.
So it's something like if next quarter is something that always comes up, it's, hey, are you guys looking to do something now or something like in the fourth, maybe first quarter, some type of thing? And then if they say we're waiting for the first quarter, then it's a question of why do you think people thought they were going to wait to the first quarter, but went ahead and pulled the trigger and did business with us now? Mm-hmm. Right. So the more you can put things on the table, the more the conversations can be had while you're there versus battling them with later.
Yeah. Also, it allows you to know if those are the real objections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because if that's the easy objection, right? They don't want to be mean or they don't want to say like, I'm just not interested or whatever. And so they say, well, we're going to look at it, Q2 of 2025. If you bring up beforehand, hey, is this something you're looking at Q1, Q2? And they go, well, now they're thinking, which means it may not actually be the legit objection, right? Now they're going to have to come up with the actual objection because you've taken the easy one off the table. So that's also important because you're actually digging for what's the real objection that they have. And it's not always the first thing they say.
Yeah. 100%. And something else to think about, Josh, is if you're looking for people that don't currently have cybersecurity, like that's your low hanging fruit, then you're almost in a convincing sale. And I hate being on the convincing side of sales. So is there, I like to sell to people that there's a fire right now, and they need what I have right now. So I know there's people that have been breached or whatever into their systems. Is there a way to identify companies that are having current cyber issues of some sort that would be places where you just need a fire extinguisher and you're locked and cocked and all the way into the company?
Yeah, we could go to insurance to find those folks, but those folks aren't our customer, right? If you've got a burnt down house, you've got to go through the insurance process to try and figure stuff out. And then once things are settled and the insurance and the lawyers are done with all of that remediation, then we could try and talk about moving forward. But typically the damage is so bad that it doesn't fit for what we do when it comes to strategic alignment and roadmap, because they're just trying to figure out how to survive at that point. So it's what do we need to button up? Typically there's a lot of layoffs. I mean, you got to understand, I think it's only like 30 to 40% of small businesses survive a major breach. So that's why they're not typically our client, right? What we've used is the compliance effort for our fire. Like CMMC is a good example. The government just said that if you do business with the federal government, you have to be CMMC qualified.
And what is CMMC? I haven't even heard of that.
It's basically the cyber standard for the government. It takes 12 to 15 months to get you ready for your audit. It takes about a week to get audited. And so in 2 years or so, when the deadline actually hits, if you don't have that done, you're not getting awarded any more contracts.
Wow.
Right. And so for us, we want to come in and have that conversation. You're doing business with the government. You need to get this done. We need to get started sooner rather than later, because otherwise it's going to be too late. And if you try and do it on your own and fail, you're going to blow 50 to 100 grand on your audit process. And they're not going to tell you why you failed. You're just going to have to go and do it again.
Okay.
Right.
So do you have a way to identify companies that are trying to get that certification?
Right.
Yeah, we look at anybody that's listed as a prime contractor for the federal government, right? So you can go to SAMS.gov and the DIB and a bunch of other websites to find them. And then we do lead gen with LinkedIn, their websites, a couple of AI scraping apps, things like that. And generally speaking, we try to identify the IT person in the company, like the director, because they're the one whose feet that's going to land on. And we can be a resource for them so that they don't have to do all that. It's essentially a lot of paperwork. It's not putting stuff in place necessarily as much as it is you need all of these policies and procedures so we can take that lift off their plate and make them shine.
Are you guys doing any sort of workshops or anything geared towards that, just as an educational standpoint?
Yeah, we do a monthly webinar where we attack different industries, different cyber topics, and we do a veterans helping veterans once a quarter, just because we're a veteran-owned company. We do different speaking engagements for Society of CPAs. Jason did the CMMC conference in DC. We'll pick up what's available. We both get on a bunch of other podcasts and talk about this too.
What's the attendance like at the webinars?
It's directly correlated to how many messages we send out directly on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So right now it's more content that gets captured for our YouTube channel that we can send out when people have questions or they're just checking us out, right? References the newsletter, things like that.
Got it. So who's the closer? Is it the salespeople, or is it you come in as a closer, you and Jason come in as closers?
Yeah, it's me and Jason. If it's a decision maker in the business, I can close just fine. If it's the IT guy, that needs to be Jason, because he's going to speak that language in much more detail than I will be able to.
Got it. So what, other than like this government, what's the other indicators that these guys need or don't have cyber?
So we look at mid-market because typically they're small enough to where they don't want a full-time CISO, chief information security officer, and a couple of analysts and all the software. So we look at it as a fractional basis, right? Instead of paying $1 million a year for this entire program, you can pay $100 grand or $200 grand and get it on a fractional basis, get you where you need to go.
I'm looking at when I sold commercial printing, 200 employees, 165,000 square foot. We had our IT department consisted of 3 people. One guy basically set up computers, one guy sat in the server room, and one gal, was an administrator, if you will. They would have had no fucking clue about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But they also wouldn't have been the ultimate decision maker at that point. The president of the company, Jim, would have been. That's a wicked sell when you got to go cross departments. And, the CEO of that company, he's not going to understand. He was just a good old boy, that, stumbled into a $40 million or built like a $40 million company. So are you selling president down or are you going through the IT department?
We try to start with the IT department because if we go president down, the IT department looks at us as a threat.
Yeah, that's right? A tough sell.
So we want to get the IT guy on board so that he can be the subject matter expert, leverage his trust with the decision makers, bring us to the table, and now we've got a good, transparent conversation. Because we don't want to do any implementation. We just want to do the strategic alignment and make sure that everything's translated effectively so that the CEO or whoever the department head stays in the driver's seat. Right? We should be the navigator, saying these are your options, here's what you can do and why and how it's going to affect things, and let them make the business decision. Ultimately, our job is to take all of the complicated IT technical language and turn it into dollars so that the business can make effective decisions on how they want to improve their posture.
So what conferences is that director of IT going to?
It really depends on where the business is, if any. I would say that they're doing some CPE credits, looking at different technologies. They're doing different IT conferences, things like that. That's much more of a Jason question than me, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, that's where you want to be, right? Because if they're hanging out there looking at new products, new services, and the likes, you want to be there rubbing elbows with them. I was going to suggest when we were talking a minute ago about doing webinars and workshops, is try to figure out what webinars, workshops, roundtables are these people, your clients, going to, right? And then just hang out in those rooms so that you're having conversations with them, adding to the presentation or the roundtable, right? So it's not even yours necessarily, but.
Yeah. In addition to that, I'm staying at the commercial printing because I knew that round is like in the commercial printing world, the world's largest print show happens in Chicago every year. And so vendors are coming in from all over. I know our director of IT was at that show every year with the president of the company and everything else. So what are the industry specific trade shows that are happening that may bring those IT in? Can you host your own session, industry specific, in some other areas just to get in front of some different people? I'd also look at those 4 salespeople and go, what is their background? What do they specialize in? Do they come from a unique industry? Can we send them down that rabbit hole of trying to break into specific verticals and let them become the expert in those particular verticals and get you a more diversified base from there? Like if I was your sales guy, I'd 100% say, okay, dude, you're focused on nothing but on these print companies because there's a ton of them, print, packaging, labels. Let's go get after those because those typically are blue collarish, type companies that are just going to be, brought up through shoestring budgets and everything else. But I can think of a buddy of mine who sells for a label company. That label company is probably doing $40 million. It's the CEO and 1 sales guy, that are propping up that company, but they have a couple hundred employees to fulfill those large of orders. Just thinking through them, I wouldn't even know how to get you into the door to a company like that. Too, they're not looking at any shit like this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have another market of MSPs, don't you? Explain that partnership to us.
Yeah, so we partner with a bunch of MSPs. Sometimes they want to white label our services. Sometimes they want to do a branded partnership. But essentially, your MSP, for those that don't know, is a managed service provider. They're your IT outsourced shop. So they do your firewall updates, all your computer updates, fix your whatever's wrong with your computer. Most of them are raising their hand saying we do cyber. But that's to what degree? Right? Are you downloading an agent? Are you upgrading an antivirus? Yada, yada, yada. So we come in and partner with them to go, let's do the strategic alignment and offer comprehensive cybersecurity services. And we can take our software stack that we bring to the table and fill any gaps. So we're not taking away any services that you already provide. Instead, what we're doing is we're putting an expert in the room with the decision maker that's your client to talk cybersecurity so that we can build a program that's long-term for implementation. Because what we find is a lot of MSP clients, their clients say, I don't know what I'm paying for. Right. And so we can bring a lot of education to that so that they understand exactly what's going on and why without boring them to death, which is a huge piece. Right. We've gotten a lot of partnerships with even law firms and insurance just simply because we're more personable than the other guys that are doing technical stuff. And that's who they want facing their clients, is somebody that they're going to enjoy spending some time with so they don't tune them out.
Do you know Dan Horwich out of Chicago?
No, I don't.
He runs a Camp IT conferences. He runs about 40 conferences a year, all around IT and computers. Like, you can't get into that if you're not touching computers in some way or fashion. And he'll put, 50 to 70 people in these small conferences, and they're sold out every time. Like, it's pretty insane. I'll get you introduced to Dan. Your problem with going after the MSPs is always going to be, do they see you as competition, or, do they see you as a value add to what they're already doing? Because if they're telling the world that they're a cybersecurity company, like, they believe they have the expertise in everything. We've all met these arrogant ass, cyber guys. Like, I got a guy that he constantly introduces himself as the world's greatest ethical hacker. And I'm like, really? That's how you're going to constantly introduce yourself? Those type of things. So, but talking with Dan might be an interesting play just to see if it makes sense to be in that particular room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. The MSPs are where we've experienced the best product market fit, right? Every once in a while, we do hit somebody that's arrogant, but for the most part, when it comes to the technical controls, the MSP has the wherewithal to do that. They have the education. The two reasons why they partner with us are they're not positioned operationally to do what we do, because we're so focused on communication and process policies, things like that. They run very, very lean, where they get ticket, process ticket, move to the next ticket, right? The other piece of that is the actual sales portion of all of this, that they don't want. They don't either have or want somebody to manage all the people, right? So they don't like doing this stuff. I sat in with a bunch of MSP owners where they were going through kind of some training on how to go through these controls, and they started debating the etymology of single words inside the controls, right? And so they just got bogged down on this one word for 30 minutes, and that's a big reason why they don't do what we do. Because they don't think the same way. Whereas we're like, no, batch this stuff. This is what you need. You're good to go. We've checked with all the auditors. We've checked with the government. We know this is going to work. Move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. So we've kind of done some investigation to help out.
Have you done webinars and workshops geared just towards the MSPs?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We've done MSP, law firms, different training facilities. And like, we have a webinar tomorrow with an MSP that does strictly Apple. So we'll be talking about how, if your entire office goes to Apple products, what kind of effect can that have on your security?
Mm-hmm. That's something that will never be said in my mouth ever. Our entire office is going to Apple products. That will never be a thing.
Thank you. It was really cool. I jumped on a call. Thank you for the introduction. We're going to do a second call, Josh. Awesome. But like, you kind of had two levels of hanging out in the space. You have your customer end, but then you have your partnership end of the MSP. So where the MSPs are hanging out, there's like business development tools like Robin Robbins. She's a monster in marketing for MSPs? Do you need to be going and hanging out in that space to get in more conversations with MSPs? Do you need to be surrounding yourself with telecom? Because telecom is always wanting those connections to MSPs as well. It's where are those people that are hanging out? And something you said earlier was that it takes you about 5 to 7 calls to get to that one client when we're talking introductions in the synergy triangle. What are the patterns in that 5 to 7 calls that gets you to that client? And can we cut that 5 to 7 calls down to 2 or 3 to get you to that person?
Yeah, I would say for going direct to market, it's a longer chain, right? Going to MSPs is pretty quick. It's like 1 to 2 calls. The difference with MSPs is it's a much longer cycle to get business through the door, right? Because you have the same relationship building discovery cycle. Then you typically have some sort of case study test where they're like, hey, do a little bit of this. Let's see if you're actually worth your salt. Then we talk about integration with services. Then we talk to sales and marketing. Then we're actually rolling out to their client base. So instead of a 6 to 18 month cycle, it's more like a 12 to 30 month cycle, right, to get everything done. So I think the MSPs long term is exactly where we need to be. But our short-term problems are how do we find direct clients so that we can just get lift off and start scaling this thing, right?
Yeah.
On your sales team, do you have people that are geared towards just selling to MSPs and the other ones going to the other faction? I'm just great on having salespeople that specialize in particular areas.
Yep. No, so Jason and I run the MSP partnerships just because it's kind of tertiary at this point. We've locked up 36 of them. So there's a lot that are moving in different phases. The salespeople, I've got 2 that are geographically different, but they're both focused on CMMC. CPAs are like low-hanging fruit. So we had Jason did a couple of conferences with the Texas Society of CPAs, so they got some leads for that for quick follow-ups. And then the other 2 are looking at general mid-market within their area, right? So, I don't want to put them on MSP stuff because their whole purpose is to go find me the quick things, right? Or quicker. I don't think anything's going to be super fast, but that's their goal.
Right.
Because the MSPs have just started to flow in, to be honest with you, since we got the full block. And then like our folks that we know in SEN, they just keep hitting me up and going, hey, you need to meet these guys. You need to meet these guys.
Yeah.
And
So
every
you
once
said
in a while,
a 12 to 30 month gap in onboarding a MSP. How do you shorten that? How do you say go walk into an MSP and say, okay, this is what we do. This is our process to get onboarded so you feel comfortable with our product and we can move forward with the partnership.
Yeah, so I've started for lack of a better term, farming program, right? Where I'm trying to schedule bi-weekly or monthly calls with each partner to talk about what the needs are and start onboarding them. Because initially it was, hey, we're going to be partners. Okay, cool. What do you have? And then they're like, oh, we'll look around, right? And it's very unstructured. And so we're developing all of that right now. The only real meeting that needs to happen initially is to talk about service offerings. What gaps do we need to fill? From there, it's a lot of sales training, marketing training, right? I find that 9 out of 10 MSPs don't even have a sales force. They just get inbound leads from their website. So what conversations are you going to have with your current clients? Do you need my guys or me to be on some of those sales calls to talk to them with you? What are we going to do about the website? Do you need to get with our website guys so that we can cross brand stuff? We can update language.
You guys are such a value add for them. I wonder if, and I would suggest doing this, is going to these the MSPs that you already have and say, let's host a workshop for your clients to talk about, cyber, talk about security, talk about these type of things. Not charging their clients anything else, just from an educational standpoint, because it's an additional value add. And it might be a situation where you can say, let's bring all your clients together. Maybe it's a networking event on top of it to just bring awareness. And if you guys are running 1 or 2 of those a freaking quarter with their clients, that's a great value add for them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We've brought that up to a couple of folks, but we need to do that more wide sweeping. Like we have we've got a partnership with Aldrich, which is a pretty big national MSP.
Mhm.
So we're doing a webinar with them, and then talking about doing a follow-on lunch and learn on their network, but tapping into that and doing the webinar with a little bit more structure than we've typically done.
Yep.
Right? What does the marketing campaign look like? Who's all coming on? Because honestly, some of our webinars have been great opportunities just to spend an hour with some of the partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the hard part initially is, yeah, we love the idea. And then it's like, let's schedule a call. And it's like, I'm super busy. Like, yeah, okay, I know, but I still need to talk to you.
Yeah, but food works, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna come, bring food, cater, and the more you have it as a complete package, you're basically saying, hey, you guys don't have to do anything, except fire off a few phone calls and a few emails. We'll take care of everything else.
Mhm.
The more set it and forget it type of stuff, because as soon as they think they got to do work, they're out, because they don't want to lift a damn finger. Is there, in addition to that, is there other verticals that are semi-adjacent you could pull this off? So if it's not MSP, what's the adjacent industry that might be talking to, hey, good morning, Woody, that might be talking to the IT department? What's adjacent to them?
Well, for cyber, your cyber insurance and business law that's attached to the insurance policy or the insurance provider, right? But that's not nearly as sticky because the MSPs, when we're working through them, anytime we're doing work, they're making more money essentially, right? Whereas with an insurance or a lawyer, that's not necessarily the case. So give me an example for a lawyer. Lawyers tend to get contacted to write what's called a written information security plan for CPAs. That's required by the FTC safeguard rule. But what they're not offering is they're asking a client, are you doing all this stuff? But nobody's checking. So the client comes to them and says, oh, we're good. We checked the box. Well, maybe you're working when you started because now you have a policy that you're not following. But how does other than the lawyer just generally trying to do the right thing by their clients and saying, hey, you should talk to these guys. And oh, by the way, it's going to cost you more money to do the right thing. It's not as, it doesn't drive their action as much as the MSPs do.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder then, you got the government thing that's happening in a couple of years. What are the other indicators that somebody needs cyber? When you're looking at these mid-market, is there some other indicator you can grab onto?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different topics of discussion. One of the low-hanging fruit is what size is your insurance policy, right? Typically what we find is folks have a cyber insurance policy with maybe some sublimits. It's like $150,000. Well, the average breach for a small business is $1.5 million. And then if you go to the insurance company to get a $1.5 million policy, they're going to give you a laundry list of things that you have to do in order to qualify for that. So we can look at, all right, not only compartmentalizing your risk, reducing your risk, but then using that and leveraging that with an insurance partner to say, now we're going to reduce your premiums too. Right. So it's a good foothold in the sand to start a conversation with, as opposed to doing the theoretical.
Have you ever tried to partner with insurance to?
I was thinking the exact same thing, Jessica.
Audit.
Yeah, so we're partnered with a couple of different insurance providers and brokers. Again, it's kind of weird, right? Because 5 years ago, companies didn't really know how to qualify when they got that 15-page questionnaire. Now that's getting done pretty easily. And then we've looked at getting written into the disaster recovery plan or incident response plan on the back end to say, okay, you've been breached. You call insurance, the insurance called a lawyer, the lawyer called the forensic team. Once all that's said and done, if you want to keep your insurance policy, you've got to have some strategic alignment services, right? But that's a much longer game. So I'm trying to figure out and maybe calling some of these insurance partners and going, hey, who's got a policy that's too low?
Or who's requested a quote for a policy recently, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to see. I even went to ChatGPT. I'm like, is there a list? Is there a way you can tell who's got policies that are too small? And, one thing that it popped up is you find companies that already have been breached and then use that as leverage to call all the other companies in that industry. Like, is there a public record of small breached companies? and now you turn that over to the team and go, okay, Mac manufacturing, whatever has been breached. Let's leverage that as part of your calls and going, hey, didn't know if you guys know that XYZ company had just had a cybersecurity breach. One of the things they found was XYZ. Are you guys looking at cyber on, as any indicator? But there's got to be some sort of service that you can find that indicates that they aren't insured to the level they need to be insured to.
Mm-hmm.
What's cool about that is now you can call your insurance buddy and go, okay, I have this information. Let's both see if we can get in the door to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could probably just call them, be honest with you, and go, hey, who's got a policy that's under $1.5 million, and why aren't you putting me on the phone with them?
Yeah. And that might be one thing to do with the insurance companies. Go, okay, let's pull a report on everybody you have that has too small. Let's do a workshop or webinar geared straight at those people, and let's see if we can get you more money and we get us more money at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's always easier to go into the door when you got somebody else that can bring you in. So there's interesting. It's also pointing out there's something called BitSight Security Scorecard and Risk Recon. Have you ever heard of them? Can you pull list off of those, like people who have done security assessments already?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but it's a good
It'd be
question.
interesting, if you could somehow buy a list database, something from them of people who are already trying to score themselves as having a security or looking at it, because if they're looking at, and that's the other thing is, are there other tools that they're potentially buying or looking for that'd be an indicator that they need you guys versus some McAfee off the shelf shit that they're trying to buy, right?
Well, and I also thinking about, are there specific software programs or, I don't know, I'm just thinking systems that a lot of the companies you do work with have a vendor relationship with that you could then co-brand things together, right? So obviously McAfee, whatever, but something like that. Or if they're doing government contracts, right? What's the most common government payroll? What's the most common purchasing program? Like finding those other technologies and then partnering up, right? To be like, hey, we go after the same customers, and a lot of the people that we work with to bring cybersecurity are using your software. Let this be a value add. That could also be a way to look at that, especially within like specific industries like CPAs. There's some common technology programs they use that might be great strategic partners for you too.
Yeah, and I'm betting that there's insurance companies that only do cyber insurance. Like that's their sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious to know who the hell they are and how do I get in there and be their preferred vendor for, getting people through the processes, because they're going to have a relationship with somebody, but how do I earn that top spot?
Yeah, from what we've found, a lot of companies don't just do cyber, but they have a guy in the company that just does cyber, right? So they'll have one specialist in each area. And so talking to that guy that does do cyber is in the right point of contact, because everybody in the company is coming to him when they need something underwritten.
Right. It's crazy. It's so wild to think about. So many small businesses are so similar in nature that everything that we've given you advice on is shit that anybody could apply to their company, just change, from cyber to whatever they sell, and all these ideologies and shit, would work there as well. But we've hit you with a ton of shit, Josh. I'm kind of curious, what are some of your takeaways from this? What are your action steps? What do you plan on doing with this information?
The first thing I'm going to do is start calling some insurance providers that we're partners with and ask them who they know that has a policy that's too small. I think that's a really quick and easy lift, and a better way to farm than just, hey, how are you? Do you want to have a 30-minute conversation so that I'm top of mind? Right? Let's get a little bit more intentional.
Right.
Doing the lunch and learns with MSP partners, that's interesting to see who's got what going on that we can hop into. I think we've started to do that, but we definitely need to lean in a little bit more. And then, I don't know if there's a public record of who's been breached, but there should be, because there are certain laws that say that you have to declare to your customers that you've been breached, but whether you have to do that publicly or send them an individual email is a different thing. And small to medium-sized businesses just don't make the news, but they're having to declare that all the time.
Yeah, because we all get the emails saying, "Hey, just so you know, we had an incident, whatever date, time, you know." So there's got to be some sort of record out there.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one of the best values that we bring to the table is that most cyber companies are going to call you and say the sky is falling. You're going to die tomorrow if you don't hire me.
Yeah,
and it's like that's just not typically true. The landscape is changing. You need to pay attention, and you really should keep up. But one of the values that we bring to the table is whether or not you should have a service or not, right? Just because you can encrypt every single thing and have it bounce around on an encrypted VPN that's got a post-quantum algorithm, I mean, you need to pay for that, right? Like what makes sense for your business? And that honesty portion of what we do is what's going to affect our long-term relationships and really our ultimate growth.
That's awesome.
So trying to figure out a way to weave that in with the pain, because I got to get your attention, but then I don't want to be Chicken Little either, is something that I need to consider.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, brother, thanks for doing this with us. Guys, let's kick it over. What events do we have coming up? What's coming down the pipes? Stevie, what play is coming up next for you? I know I've got a cold call workshop coming up in January, but what do you guys have coming up?
So on the business side, nothing. I am totally done after this week, and I don't start again until mid-January. So I'm excited to take time off. But on the play side, we are currently working on The Wedding Singer. So if you are an Adam Sandler fan of the movie, the musical is pretty much an exact replica of the movie.
Dude, the guy who's going to play the piano, Boy George, he's fucking hilarious. I'm so looking forward to that.
He's so good. So it's going to be a blast. And what's really kind of cool about it is, so this will be our 17th show as an organization in the last 3 years. And we have cast members representing over 15 of our shows.
Wow.
On stage in the 17th show. So it's also like a big family reunion. Nice. Which is really cool. So we're just having a lot of fun. And that goes up February 7th through the 16th. Great Valentine's Day night out for those that want to do something like that. So yeah, gonna be super fun. So that's The Wedding Singer.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
Bernie, you got any other things?
I have nothing going on until after the first of the year, and right now not ready to post anything, but I'm looking forward to having a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
I've got on January 10th, Skip the Cold Calls Master Fractional Networking coming up. That'll be January 10th, till 11 o'clock my time, so CST. So that'll be fun. And then just to plug a friend, Deanna Stewart, who bought the wine house, she just rolled out her wine club, so which will be every other month. So if you guys want to come get some cool wine, Elizabeth and I know Chad and Shelly signed up for it. So we'll be doing wine every month, or every other month, I guess, there. So it's $70 for 2 people, and you give a couple bottles of wine, a wine tasting at the venue. That's cheap as hell for a wine club. So that'll be really, really awesome. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out. It's always awesome and amazing. We have a damn good time. Josh, thanks for hanging with us. Guys, we're here every Monday, 8 a.m. Central, making fun of somebody, usually picking on Peyton, but having a damn good time. So y'all have a kick-ass week. We'll catch you next Monday. Love you, mean it. See you, bye.